I'd had since junior high from the bottom of my bag. Having drinks with the team tonight after work. The team, huh? Does that include your work crush? What's his name again? Nicholas. Bridget snorted. I know, Nicholas Strong, she repeated. Rhymes with Long, I remember. Ha ha, be nice. Mentioning the rhyming of my last name with Nicholas's wasn't one of my proudest moments, but it was after 2 flirtinis, and 2 flirtinis for a 100-pound girl were like 5 flirtinis for an average-sized woman. Well, have fun. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, Bridget said dryly. Gun-shy after an uncharacteristic one-night stand generously left her with a case of crabs. She hadn't done anything with anyone in over a year. I'd be willing to wager a Barnes & Noble gift card that Nicholas has never given me any thought beyond asking me to connect him to Rob's voicemail, but he's serious eye candy. Chances are we'll exchange less than 4 words. I'll end up extremely frustrated and regret going in the first place. There you go, Miss Positive. Good luck. Thanks. See ya. I hung up the phone and wiped the corners of my lips before applying a shiny but translucent gloss. I dusted powder over my nose, trying unsuccessfully to hide the constellation of freckles that appeared at the tip. I zipped the case and returned it to my bag. If only I knew how to apply dramatic makeup, but every time I made an attempt, I looked like one of those freaky pageant kids. It was only 5:05 when I returned to my desk, but Rob's light was already off. He must have been really thirsty. I opened my saved post to finish my review. In closing, I would highly recommend Gladly Never After to all lovers of chicklet, particularly those who prefer books with more action dialogue and less description backstory. Rating, 4.5 champagne flutes. I set my blog to post the review at 6 the next morning and logged off my computer. At least I'd be fashionably late. I spotted my crew immediately upon entering the dimly lit restaurant. They had taken over the left side of the semicircular bar. I stood up as tall as my 4'11" frame allowed and approached the crowd. Even as my eyes looked straight ahead toward Rob, always the center of attention at these events, I used my peripheral vision to confirm Nicholas was in attendance. He was talking to Lucy, a junior associate in the group. I knew nothing about Nicholas's personal life and had wondered if he'd ever hooked up with any of the female lawyers in the office while pulling an all-nighter or after one of the many firm-hosted parties. Lucy's daily attire consisted of stodgy business suits, and she always pulled her straight blonde hair into a bun. But for all I knew, she was the dirty librarian type and kinky in the sack. As I glanced at her in jealous paranoia, I was surprised to catch Nicholas looking directly at me. Could he tell I was thinking about him? Bridget and I always said guys had a radar. There she is, my right hand. What are you having? Rob asked. I stopped staring at Nicholas and focused my attention on Rob. A glass of Prosecco, thanks. I considered asking for a cocktail menu, but wanted a drink in my hand too badly to spend the time considering my choices. Rob raised one of his thick, dark eyebrows and took a sip of his lager. Beer isn't good enough for you. Not when the firm is paying. While Rob ordered my drink, I casually looked around. I caught Nicholas's eye again. Prepared this time, I gave him a friendly wave. Hey, you, Nicholas said as his brown eyes darted down to my chest and quickly back to my face. His appraisal of my rack, while subtle, was unmistakable. Not that a guy checking out a girl's chest was an indication of actual interest. It was merely instinct for them, but I was still thrilled. I would be the first to admit that I drew attention to my chest since, being so short, I needed to give people a reason to look down far enough to see me. Hey, I said with a smile before accepting my drink from Rob. I wanted more than anything to go over and cock-block Nicholas's conversation with Lucy, but I didn't have the nerve. Checking out a girl's cleavage was not necessarily an invitation for conversation. Did you send that email to Bartlett? Rob asked. Without batting an eyelash, I responded. Did you ask me to? Rob offered a bemused smile. Touché. I thought you might be too busy working on your blog to attend to such meaningless...